It's not perfect, but it's certainly a start. Stick with me as we stitch out this interesting circular grid design. Hey guys, welcome back to Frances Quilts. Today we're going to continue our grid quilting, doing another circular design. This is another one from Sue Heinz. She seems to be the master of these kind of designs, and I love seeing her do them and trying them myself. Now I'm going to be honest with you, I wasn't real excited about this one. I had some issues with it, didn't think it was going to look good, but when all of those blue lines were washed out, it was better than I thought. So let's go to the machine. Today we're going to do another design from Sue Heinz of Quilts. This time we are doing a circular design like this in the corner, but then we're going to add some corners to it so that we end up with a square. This is a design that she showed in the lecture that she presented that I watched at Houston, and this was the page that she gave us to learn how to do this design. Now, I did this design a couple of days ago and it really didn't work well. Mostly it was because I was having trouble with my tension on my sewing machine, but just I wasn't ready obviously to do it. So I've learned a few things which I think will help us. So let me just show you the steps that we're going to take. First of all, in drawing this out, we're going to have two circles. We're going to have this inner circle along here, and then we're going to come out 1/4 inch and we're going to draw another circle on the outside of that one. Now to get our square, we're going to go to this outside edge right here, and we're going to do a line that hits that outside edge right there, that outside circle. And the same way all the way around is going to hit that outside circle. The final marking that we're going to have, well, we're going to have all these radii in there as well. And we're going to have a mark going down to the corner right here on each corner. So let's go through the process for sewing this. And some of it's a little different than is marked on here because I learned when I sewed it the other day what to do and what not to do. First step we're going to do is this is not going to come from the center here. This is going to come from this line right here. So we're going to start on one of these lines. We're going to follow it all the way up that line until we get really close to the top. Then we're going to swing over and we're going to hit this inside circle on that point, come back over here and all the way back down that line. When we get back in here, we're going to come in and we're going to do just a little quick thing right here and then back down again. We're going to move over a little bit to here, and we're going to do that same thing. We're going to come all the way up there, we're going to turn, hit that point, come back down here, and then swing back down to here. Come over and do the two little things in the middle. We're going to do that all the way around. Then when we're through, we're going to break thread and we're going to come back in here and we're going to add these little things in here. First of all, you can leave it without those, so it's going to look scalloped. We'll try to have a look at that when we are finishing up that section. But I think it looks nice if we come in and we put some scallops in here. So we're just going to come from this inside circle, we're going to dip down and back up and down and back up. And if we do it an uneven number of times, so if we come down and back up for a third time, or if we went 4 and 5, then when we get back here, we can just keep coming across like this and keep going. We don't have to stop with every one of them. So the key here is to have uneven numbers of those little areas. And then the last thing we're going to do is come to these corners. And again, we're going to break thread here because there's no place that this thread touches this thread, because we have this little gap in here, and that gap is what's going to give it some character, so we definitely want to keep that gap in. In this corner we are going to do the one in the center here. If we want to, we can put one in the middle, whatever we decide to do, and then we are going to do these on the edges right here. Now I found it was easiest for me to do the outside one first, so come down. And some of mine got a little curvy. I changed it a little bit just to make it a little bit easier. But just follow this line down and then back to here. And then up here and back. And then up here and back. Same thing over here. Come all the way across and do that one, and then the next one, and then the next one. And again, whether we come back and put all of this in here, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to do that or not. Honestly, the circle that we're going to be sewing on is a little bit smaller than this pattern, and so I'm not so sure I'm going to try to put all of those little details in. So now let's have a look at the design that I have drawn. A couple of things to note here. When I did this square, I realized that it was much better if I didn't have it lining up with one of these. Originally I had it so that when the circle came through, you came up here and you hit that, and then you have this thing coming up here. I think it was better to have it offset a little bit. So you see my square's kind of funky here, how I've drawn it, but as far as relation to the fabric, but I think it'll be better that way. I also had forgotten to put my circle in the center, and I know that's not particularly a circle, but we're going to go with it. And finally, I found when I was stitching it the other day that I found it hard to know when to stop coming along this edge. So I come along this edge, and it's just hard to know exactly when to stop. So I put another circle in here just lightly. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to come up here. When I hit that line, I know it's time for me to make my curve. I'm going to come back. And again, when I hit that line, I know it's time for me to stop curving and start going down. So that's the purpose of that little line in there. So I've stitched it one time. Let's see if this one is better. To get me started stitching here, I'm going to go ahead and just stitch around this sort of circle right here. I hope I can stitch a circle better than I can draw it. All right, here we go. And I'm just going to do a few swirls inside it just to finish it. Try to give myself a little room so I can come back out. All right, this is what I'm going to start with. My first line, remember, is going to be following along this radii that I've drawn in up to here. When I hit that point, I'm going to curve up and hit here, curve back around until I hit that point, and then back down again. At that point, not too bad. It's a little wonky shape, but that's okay. So now I'm going to backtrack back over to the center line that I have here, and I'm going to go up and back down, just staying close to that center. We're just going to bisect this petal that we just put in here, just to get a little more interest. And that's a little curvy. That may be too much interest, but that's all right. So now we're going to come back over. We get to that line that we just came off of, and we're going to echo now from here all the way up to here, and then we're going to bring our circle off. not perfect, but I guess it's all right. I'm not super happy with it. I did struggle a little bit with some of these curves coming around here and keeping them, particularly that one right there, keeping it straight. I did find I was better off if I kept my speed up when I came through here, and when I started making this curve, just not to slow down, just really concentrate but not slow my stitching down. So there's definitely some room for improvement, but at least I have done it. So the next thing we're going to do is just, we're going to put in a couple of things right here, 2 and 3, just to fill in that area, and then we'll come to the next one and do the same thing, 1, 2, and 3. Because this circle is a fairly small one, there's not going to be a lot of room for these little extra bits, but we'll go ahead and put them in. Down in that curve, that point, back up, down again, up. And this time I'm just going to pretty much stay on the curve because I don't have any room to put another one in. And now I'm back where I started. So the last thing we have to do is to fill in these corners. And frankly, I'm kind of scared of them right now, but let's just keep going and see what we can do. And as I think about it, I'm thinking that see what we can do should be the theme of my channel. I seem to say those words a lot. So here we go. We're going to come from here. We're going to curve up to here, up to this point, and back down again. We're going to do a little sliver thing in the center. Then we're going to come over to here, and we're going to do a circle back in, and then another one, and then another one. Because yes, I have decided to do the curves rather than the leafy points at this point. So here we go. I'm going to follow along this curve. I'll get where I want to stop, and I'm going to make my circle and come back. Aiming back up at that point right there. And then my next one's going to come out a little bit, and again hit the edge of the block, and back in, and then my last one. Yes, I'm cheating some here, but that's all right. Sometimes we cheat. When we get here, we are going to break thread and move to the next one. Well, that's not particularly pretty, but it's done. We'll wash out the lines in just a minute. The things that I noticed that I would really have to be careful with this particular design are just, again, making these curves in here, making sure that they are smooth going across here. Again, it would probably have been better if I had had more radii in here rather than just having those few. That these would have been skinnier. That might have looked better. On these corners, I had issues with this one. You see, this one's much longer here than this one is over here. I don't know what happened there. So again, if I was doing this design for a quilt, when I really wanted it to be absolutely perfect, I'm probably going to come in here and give myself some marks along here just to remind myself of when I want to start those loops back. But let's wash it out and just see. Maybe it'll get better. I'm not sure, but maybe. Well, actually, I was wrong. That does get much better when you get all of those lines out of there. Again, I still notice this little long-eared thing right here, but that's something I can take care of. It obviously would look a whole lot better too if it was in a thread that matched the background fabric. I would show you my back, but as you can see, I had tension problems again, so we're just going to ignore that. I'm not sure what's going on with my tension. Don't you hate when that happens? But anyway, that one didn't turn out as badly as I thought it was going to. So like with most of these, if I will just persevere and push through them, they'll end up being okay. Let's just have another quick look at this first one that I did in practice. Actually, once I washed out the lines, it looks a lot better than it did too. So that's really something I have to learn, is I need to not judge it by how I feel like it's looking when I'm quilting it. I need to get away from it, step back from it, wash the lines out, and then judge it again later. Obviously, this corner I gave up on, which is fine. But you know, I think this pattern has some merit, and I think I just need to do some practicing before I try to use it. Well, as I said in the intro, it did not work out perfectly, but in the long run, it ended up being a nice looking design. And I learned some things that I want to try for next time, and learned some things that I need to really, really, really concentrate on when I am doing the quilting. I am continuing to look for new circular grid designs, and I'll show them to you as I find them. I may even spend a little bit of time and see if I can play with some myself and see if I can design some myself, because it seems kind of fun to do. And I'll remind you, as always, if you're interested in ruler quilting, the best place to start is with a straight edge ruler, and I have a great course that'll help you along the way. It's called Keeping It Straight, 8 Ways to Use a Straight Edge Quilting Ruler. I'll leave information here, a link here, and then I'll also put information in the show notes, so be sure and check that out. That's it for today. I have some really exciting stuff coming up. Hopefully this next week. I've been doing a lot of thread painting and a lot of thread work and thread lace, and it's just been a lot of fun, and I've taken a lot of videos. So if you want to be sure that you see those, just hit that subscribe button, because there's going to be lots of fun stuff coming up. Well, thanks for joining me here today, and I look forward to seeing you next time on Frances Quilts.
Remember, if you like what you've seen, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Please check out my website and daily blog at francesquilts.com, and I can be found on Facebook and Instagram at Frances Quilts. Thanks so much for joining me. Hope to see you again soon.